What conspiracy theory do you completely believe is true? A lot of entertainment companies are money laundering fronts. Someone said that of paintings sold for millions and I thought, oh god yeah, why didn't I think that before? Epstein didn't kill himself. I'm on the middle ground in this one. I think he did kill himself. But only when someone visited his cell and told him to either do it himself or, you know, suffer much worse consequences. Of course. During that visit, the cameras mysteriously turned off and both guards decided to take a nap. The Department of Transportation bought way too many orange barrels. So most of them have to be stored on highways. Maybe not Tupac. But at least one celebrity has faked their death and is still out there. Funny enough. The other day some photos went around showing Tupac in art school as a teenager. One photo of him being in ballet class. I have to be honest with you. My mind went on a little vacation and I thought to myself it makes perfect sense. Tupac was never really a gangster but instead a brilliant thespian who created a character he just didn't want to play anymore and faked his death to retire the character and start a new one. Then I got to thinking. What if the whole 90s gangster rap saga was all theater and some of the other rappers that got shot did the same? Like maybe Biggie and Tupac fell in love and they knew that they couldn't make it work with American culture. So they retired their characters and now run a small theater company in Brazil somewheres. Not a specific theory, but I have no doubt that the majority of leaks for the entertainment industry, video games, movies, TV, etc. are completely purposeful and meant to gauge general opinions before official announcements. Edit. Spelling. Thanks for my first ever awards. They're called trial balloons and they absolutely exist. They exist in politics. They exist in products. They exist in every industry with any amount of money. The CIA is responsible for the crack epidemic. Along with that, I think the theory of the CIA placing random crates of guns in black neighborhoods to escalate gang violence is also probable. That the CIA let JFK get assassinated. A time traveler has traveled back in time to the year 1963. However, he does not know the exact date. He sees a CIA agent nearby and asks him, is today before or after the JF? Before. The Big Mac has gotten smaller so McDonald's saves some money. I don't know. But I swear the Big Mac used to be bigger. Or maybe I am just fatter. This is a pretty common business tactic. And there's been a hell of a lot of research into it. Companies know consumers are happier paying the same amount for a, often unnoticeable, reduced portion rather than seeing a price increase for the same item. Ancestry DNA and the rest of those ancestry websites are run by the government to have access to people's DNA to cross-reference crimes etc. I don't think they're run by the government. But they absolutely share results with police. They make absolutely no promise of privacy. This isn't theory. It's verified fact. Edit. Since people don't seem to be understanding what exactly it is that these services do and seem to think I'm full of shit. Let me explain. These services analyze DNA and tell you who it is related to. This is the service available to the public as well. By figuring out who someone is related to, you can massively narrow down your suspect list if not outright find out who someone is. There have been many crimes solved this way. Most notably the recent arrest of the Golden State Killer. Shelley Miscavige is either dead or being held prisoner by the Church of Scientology. Just read the wiki article on her, very interesting. Not only did the cops out her for filing the missing persons case, but they also stated that they talked to her in person and closed the case as not missing. Like, isn't it questionable at all that someone hasn't been in public since 2007 and someone files a missing persons case and the Church of Scientology calls up and is like, nope, she's not missing here, she is okay, leave us now, she needs to go back inside, and then the cops are just like, okay, yep, she's fine. J. Edgar Hoover had ties to the mob and gave preferential treatment to certain crime families organizations while crushing others. Also, his stranglehold on American intelligence made him a figure presidents feared. My understanding was that, specifically, The mob had photos of him and his boyfriend doing, you know, boyfriend stuff. Which is a pretty intense threat when you're the no queers or commies guy. I got a pretty harmless one. Stevie Wonder can see. The world's elites are in on it. Which almost got blown open when George W. Bush waved at him. Edit. Big thanks to all my Stevie Wonder truthers out there. Thank you all for this interesting dialogue. After hearing this story I looked into it a bit and found out that most blind people aren't %100 blind. So he can probably see vague shapes, light, and motion. When he saw Shaq on an elevator he probably just saw the iconic massive silhouette of Shaquille O'Neal lumbering towards him all blurry and knew who it was. This is the smallest conspiracy ever. But, you know how when you pull a tissue out of a box, there's this dust that comes out from the tissue when it scrapes the perforated edge? I swear it's designed like that so that the dust makes you sneeze. And then suddenly you need more tissues. Rise up against big tissue. College Board isn't non-profit. Automobile and oil companies have been working to impede or hide developments in renewable energy solutions. There is actually a lot of evidence for this. I was a climate activist before seeing it. But the Years of Living Dangerously documentary series pretty well confirmed to me that big oil, gas, and coal companies are standing in the way of renewable energy solutions. The government was behind Throwback Thursday in order to get us to digitize and upload pictures that they would not have had access to in order to help improve age progression facial recognition algorithms. Women's clothes have small non-existent pockets to make us buy purses. Edit. If this is enough to set you to go off on a sexist rant, please reevaluate your life choices. I used to work with someone who would just take her pants to a tailor and they would make the pockets bigger for just a few bucks. She said it was not just to make it more convenient for her, but also to stick it to the fashion industry. I believe conspiracy theories are the ultimate conspiracy. They send the message that there is some invisible hand controlling things, meaning there's nothing you can do to change it. They instill complacency. As George Carlin said, you don't need a formal conspiracy when interests converge. That's all a conspiracy is. Multiple people deciding on something that benefits them that no one knows about. Unless I've got that way I wrong. I think when people have as much power as they have, and we know vast wealth means power, then they'll exercise their power. If they don't, it means they never did. But they wouldn't be in the position they are in if they didn't. So one follows the other. Like, what is power except this abstract thing that can only be measured when you wield it? If that makes sense. You can't be powerful. Can't feel powerful unless you act on it. The US military is a huge lobbyist behind not adopting socialized healthcare and college because those are the two main reasons that people join the military. With socialized healthcare and college, recruit numbers would plummet, and we would no longer be the military powerhouse that we currently are. The lost cosmonauts. I think it's absolutely possible that there were attempts by the CCCP to launch manned aircraft into space before Gagarin and that some of the cosmonauts died. This one's been bouncing around. But given how much we now know about the Soviet space program after the USSR collapse, including the details of embarrassing failures like Soyuz 1, it seems odd that this in particular would be so completely concealed. Calling healthcare workers heroes is a deliberate ploy by the powers that be. So that at the end of all this coverage tea and there is a pile of us dead. The conversation isn't about how the government and hospitals fucked up, but our heroic sacrifice. I'm in the Navy and we change uniforms a lot compared to other branches. There's a conspiracy theory that there's a rear admiral whose wife has stocks in the company that makes our uniform. I just randomly heard someone talking about it. I have zero evidence that it's true, but I 100% believe it. Edit. Told this to my co-worker who added to the conspiracy cause he said the people who sell our uniforms is run by a rear admiral. The plot thickens. Edit 2. Apparently there's more people saying there's more to the conspiracy, so if you see this be sure to head into the replies and give them some upvotes. This kinda blew up and you guys rock. I'm pretty sure the U.S. Government knows things about UFOs that they aren't telling us. That's not to say I believe UFOs are alien spacecraft. I don't know what they are. Yeah. Probably because they made all those flying objects themselves. Experimental aircraft, you know. Government is happy people believe in aliens because now a cover-up is more easy to hold. Edit. One word. Donald Trump did not want to be president. He just wanted publicity and to be TCH about politics without actually having to do something about it. I'll do you one even better. He would not have run at all if Obama hadn't roasted him at the state dinner. He only ran to undo pretty much all of Obama's policies in an effort to make him the least effective president ever. Many years ago, I walked into a Barnes & Noble and spotted a guy sitting alone at a card table near the entrance. The table stacked with books. We had a nice chat. He told me how he got started writing the book. His first. He was teaching at a prep school where the Secret Service showed up at 7:00 AM and banged on a dorm door. The student had emailed the night before. Words to the effect that someone should shoot the president. That got the author interested in the NSA. And he wrote a novel about it. While researching the book, he was emailing with various ex-NSA people to get background on the agency. One time he emailed, should we be encrypting these emails? He received a reply stating, 1. There isn't any encryption you could do that would hinder the NSA. 2. I'm not telling you anything I shouldn't. And 3. The plutonium arrives on Thursday. Praise Allah. Dan Brown before he hit it big. High-end art is a scheme to launder money and avoid taxes. Yeah. That's kind of known to be true. Also look up horse farms. All the rich people have one. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Google Disney Frozen you would get search results about the movie and not about Walt Disney's body supposedly being cryogenically frozen. Mattress stores are just money laundering fronts. There are 3 mattress firm stores in my town all on the same street. 2 are almost directly across from each other and the other is like 400 feet down the road. Tommy Wiseau is D.B. Cooper. For those of you who don't know, D.B. Cooper is a famous American thief. Aboard a plane flying from Seattle, Washington to Mexico City, before the plane was over Reno, Nevada, D.B. Cooper robbed everyone on the plane, took all of the parachutes and jumped out of the plane, and was never seen again. Nobody knew his name, and he spoke with a strange accent. Tommy Wiseau showed up seemingly randomly, with a ton of money, has been said to be older than he says he is, and speaks with a strange accent. At one point people found a ton of money which was said to be D.B.'s ransom money or stash. And the guy they were investigating didn't look much like him. And the evidence was never convincing and the whole attempt was some History Channel bullshit. Tommy Wiseau however fits the bill. Erdogan has manipulated the renegade part of his army to reveal themselves. I heard on NPR that the idea was kicking around. It's also incredibly possible that when the army staged its coup, he had moles that gave him info and was just very well informed on what was about to go down. Britney is the highest profile Disney RP victim we might probably ever know about. Her mental breaks were the result of sexual and physical abuse from her handlers, her parents, and people she worked with at Disney. The conservatorship she's been trying to get lifted is one designed to keep her silent. Because the momentum of the Me Too movement as well as the high profile cases against Hollywood folks will result in a huge financial hit to Disney. If we hear that Britney couldn't take it anymore and killed herself, it's most likely the result of everyone in her life trying to control and manipulate her. And they will likely kill her under guise of suicide. Fort Knox has no gold in it. I'm not sure that's really conspiracy level. Before 9/11, Fort Knox was an open post. Literally anyone could drive on post and right up to the fence surrounding the alleged vault. Keep in mind there was no MPs or any type of security near it. Any half-decent nightclub at least has a bouncer and Fort Knox didn't even have that. I went to basic training at Fort Knox. Talked with a drill sergeant that had been there for a few years. His opinion was, If there was anything worth any value in the vault, they'd at least be a do not enter sign on the fence. There wasn't. United 93 was shot down. This is possible. When I worked on fighters, a coworker came from a unit whose planes responded on 9/11. He claimed one of the aircraft came back one missile light, and the pilot spoke to no one and was immediately taken to debrief. He said the pilots would never speak about what happened that day. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm not even sure I believe him. My school is encouraging students to do the self-administered COVID test, knowing most students will probably do it wrong, so they can inflate their negative test results. More healthy students on campus means more revenue from on-campus housing, meal plans, and other service fees. Adolf Hitler did not commit suicide as history records on the 30th of April, 1945 in the Führer bunker, but rather escaped. To all blaming Argentina for hiding Nazis. Remember that the US didn't hide them, just gave them jobs in the government.